Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters. So I was kind of thinking if I was a guy and I'm going through Sue's line, and she says, "Excuse me, sir, is that a Tic Tac in your pocket, or are you happy to see me?" So actually when they, is this on? I do have to confess I wasn't doping before this, so there is no performance-enhancing drugs, so I'm really sorry for that. Actually, when Tricia had the first improv session, it had to be someone who didn't know who they were and didn't know what they were talking about, and I thought, oh, my husband will be so perfect for this. Oh, well. Marriage is really hard. Is anybody else married? Yeah. Married, yeah. It's really hard. And I find it fascinating that when you're not married, everyone wants to get you married. So they want to introduce you to everyone and everything, and then eventually you get married, and then they just got divorced. Yeah. And then they tell you how wonderful being divorced is. So it's a little confusing. And I do know that I'm the perfect spouse, but I'm not married to one. So when I was a little kid, I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm by Gary, South Dakota, if anyone knows where that is. And we had beef cattle and raised a lot of corn. About every 3 years, my dad raised beans. And he said it was to rejuvenate the soil, but we were all pretty sure it was just to keep our bean weeding abilities at the top of our game, because we had to do that every year. But back then we had these things that just pulled the weeds right out of the field. They were called gloves. My husband also grew up on a farm. Probably the worst thing that happened to me was when I got married. Okay, that didn't come out right. Probably don't tell him that. When I got married to him, he was actually a dairy farmer, and he seemed to think that any other kind of farm was a hobby farm. Because, you know, the dairy farmers, they get up at 5:30 and they milk the cows, and then they, you know, they're back again at 6. I'm not even going into what they smelled like on the bus when they just came from the dairy barn. That's another whole topic. But anyway, probably the funniest thing that happened after we were married about 2 years, my mother-in-law died. That didn't come out right either. Actually, after she died, my father-in-law called all 9 kids and said, "You need to come up to the house, and I want all of you to pick out something that you will remember your mother by." And so my husband and all his siblings went up to the house, and you know, I'm sitting at home that night, and I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait to see what he picks, right? And, because I'm thinking he's the oldest, so he's going to get first pick, and, you know, there's the grandfather clock, that's pretty cool, and then there's this big crystal bowl thing she has, that's pretty cool, and then there's this rug that she made, and he remembers her making that rug for months while he was a little kid, so I can't wait till he gets home. And sure enough, he comes home, and he says, "Honey, look," and it's a glass, you know, a milk glass. Oh, like the kind you drink milk out of. Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And he goes, yeah, we got it free from the Surge Milker guy. Oh yeah, even better. Oh no, honey, come and look at the glass. It's got writing on it. Sure enough, it had a picture on it of this farmer and his milk cow, and there's this bubble like he's talking, and it says, "If I only had one cow and she only had one tit, I'd still use a Surge Milker." So that's what we have to remember his mother by. I'm thinking with 9 kids, she was way too busy to read what it actually said. She has no idea. But all I can think of is, oh my God, we've got to get rid of this glass before my husband dies, because his kids are going to fight over that glass. No, I'm not taking it to Goodwill. You take it to Goodwill. So, yeah, my poor husband, he tries. And, you know, he grew up on a dairy farm, so he's into really big tractors. See, I odd too, but we're driving, we'd only been married about 2 years, and we're driving down the road, and he says, "Holy moly! Did you see her? That was a 34 WD. Alice Chalmers." I was thinking, well, what's a 34 WD look like? Who's Alice? So, I'm like all women. I have this thing that I like to do. I like to shop. I'm not as into purses, but I do like to shop. And so we're at the dressing room, and he's in that little man spot where they sit in the little chair outside, outside the dressing room and act like they can't see anything. And he's out there acting like he can't see anything when I come out, and I say, "Honey," and this is what all women say, right, "Honey, do these pants make my butt look big?" And right now he's thinking, "Uh-oh. What do I say?" And he says, "Oh, honey, I wouldn't blame it all on the pants." Anyway, I am a really, really good spouse most of the time. And the other night, my husband, who wants to be one, he says to me, "Honey, if you just did one more thing, our sex would be perfect." And I'm thinking, well, I'm pretty good at everything if there's only one little thing, right? And I say, "Yes, dear, what's that one little thing?" And he says, "Move." Like you're not dead. Anyway. My husband's great, and when we got married, he had a lot of money, and now he doesn't. But next time I am marrying him for love.
Gary, can I ask you a question? Are you driving?